Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another mobile VR review. A lot of the games I focus on require a controller or are better with one, but virtual reality is a new medium and so we should expect new gameplay paradigms. For that to happen, creators have to push the boundaries and venture into interesting and experimental types of gameplay and controls. So today we're looking at 3 new games that eschew the standard gamepad or point-and-click control format in some or all of their interactions. These 3 games offer no gamepad support and can be played mostly hands-free, and I'd like to share with you what I think are the results of these GearVR experiments. First on the list is boomboxing. You're put into the ring against a single opponent where you are expected to punch at each other for as long as it takes one of your health bars to fully deplete. The ring and character models are quite detailed and the animations are smooth, but it's the control that's the novel part. Instead of pressing a button for a particular attack like a normal fighting game, you simply gaze at the part of your opponent you'd like to strike and the attack is triggered automatically. So if you look at the face, you'll trigger a head strike. If you look at the abdomen, you'll trigger a body shot. The description says you can look at different parts of the face to trigger a jab, cross, or uppercut, but with all the involuntary camera and opponent movements, you'll likely only be able to target the face or body in general. It's an interesting concept and on the surface it appears to work. However, it quickly becomes apparent that you are only vaguely in control. Sometimes punches happen instantly when the crosshair touches your opponent's head, and other times you can stare for a second or two without anything happening. It's quite difficult to tell if you've landed a punch successfully other than by keeping a very close eye on the opponent health bar at the edge of your vision, and your opponent's strike seems to take off a much larger portion of your health than yours do on him. Some wireframe hitboxes that flashed on a successful hit would make targeting and player feedback much more clear. But by far the biggest problem with this game, and the reason I do not recommend it, is the camera. Maybe you're watching this and thinking, why the hell is this guy playing a VR boxing game inside an operating cement mixer? Well friends, I assure you I am not trapped in a cement mixer, tumble dryer, or riding a bucking bronco at a rodeo. I am in fact sitting calmly in a chair, looking mostly forward with small adjustments to target the head or body. All of these wild camera movements you see are absolutely involuntary, as if the camera is strapped to the head of your character's animated model. And it is every bit as nauseating as it looks. Rounds last a little over 2 minutes, and after 3 of those I need a break. It is a widely known rule in VR game development that you let the player control the camera. Pitching, rolling, and yaw motions forced upon the player's vision are extremely disorienting and highly likely to cause motion sickness. There was clearly very little thought put into player comfort in this title, and so I have to say, play at your own risk. Next up is the Talking Touring series. There are 2 touring games on the GearVR. Talking Touring, which is a character voice recognition demo, and Touring Adventure, an escape room type game where you find clues to numeric codes to solve the mystery. These are the only games that I know of on the GearVR that use voice recognition significantly in their gameplay, but in theory it makes perfect sense. Imagine commanding a battleship by shouting orders or calling for wingman support in an air combat game. I don't know why we don't see this more often. The Talking Touring demo seems to be able to detect my words correctly, but the responses appear almost random. Asking him where he's from or what his name is yields a different answer every time, and very few things seem to get a structured response. Touring Adventure uses voice recognition differently. For the most part, it uses gazed-based controls, but sometimes you're required to talk to advance the story. In theory, this would increase immersion by having characters respond to your voice. However, there are 2 problems with the execution. First, the scenes require you to say very specific lines to advance. You're not told what to say initially, but after guessing wrong twice, which will happen every time, you're shown the exact phrase you're supposed to say. Second, even when you know the phrase you're supposed to say, the voice recognizer has a very hard time picking it up. I speak English quite clearly, and even when playing this game in a completely silent room, it sometimes takes 4 or 5 tries to get the software to pick up on my command, which is incredibly irritating and breaks the game flow completely. Maybe the voice recognition works better in Korean, but it definitely needs more work in English. Regarding the rest of the game, the graphics, voice acting, and subject matter seem to be aimed at children. Considering the GearVR warning specifically states that children under 13 should not use this, I'm not sure what audience the developer was trying to target. While the Talking Touring series isn't great, the concept of using voice recognition in VR is something that should be explored. To developers, I say use it when it makes sense, and use it for specific commands or be ready to have a serious interpretation engine in place. Our last title is Jogger. On the surface, Jogger appears to be just another Frogger-type traffic crossing game built for VR, or perhaps somebody's capstone project from the VR developer course on Udemy. But it's how you control your character that's novel. You jog on the spot. The developer has used accelerometers in the smartphone to detect a jogging step and is able to translate that into an in-game step. You simply look in the direction you want to go, and by bouncing up and down you take steps forward in the game. And it feels surprisingly good. First-person games usually cause a little bit of sickness when you move forward. However, because you're physically bobbing as each step is taken, the in-game motion is masked by your real-world motion, thereby reducing motion sickness. It actually feels like you're jogging in the game. When you take a step, your character takes a step. When you stop, your character stops. It's not flawless, of course, but it's a very simple method applied cleverly to give the GearVR a previously unseen level of full-body immersion, and it works pretty well. The downside of this method is that you will likely physically move forward in real life. I found myself moving slowly forward as I tried to jog in place, and in the end I decided it was safest to jog with one or both hands on a wall or other fixed item. Other than that, I'd consider this GearVR experiment a success, and I'd love to see the developer expand it into something more. It's a fun game to try, and a great game to wow your family and friends that are new to VR. So that's it. 3 games that ventured out of the normal control schemes to try something new. Boomboxing could work, but needs some major improvements, starting with the awful camera. Talking Touring demonstrates voice control as part of a full VR game, but it too still needs more work to generate a proper sense of agency. And Jogger shows that simple accelerometer data can be used to both reduce motion sickness and increase immersion, and creates a fun experience in the process. Of the 3 games here, I recommend trying Jogger. There isn't anything else quite like it on the GearVR store, and I think you'll be surprised by how well it works. As for the others, I can't really recommend them. I expect boomboxing will make most people sick, and the Talking Touring games don't quite work as advertised. Try them if you're looking for something unique and experimental, but remember, you've been warned. Thanks for watching. Got something to say about this video, an opinion of the games, or VR in general? Leave a comment to let me know what you think. And if you like what you saw and you want to see more of this, hit the like and subscribe buttons. Remember, there's a new video every week, and be sure to check out my other reviews as well. Hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.